Okay, welcome back, everybody. It is the RP Show. We got breaking news, not just from you, Moose. Is yours from the Winnipeg?
Yes.
Mine, too. Do you want to break the news?
Sure. The Blue Bombers have ruled out both Andrew Harris and starting receiver Darvin Adams for week 1.
Oh, boy.
So they'll be without Darvin Adams and the Grey Cup MVP Andrew Harris in their week 1 game against Hamilton.
How about that?
Oh.
Not a good start to the week for Winnipeg.
You see how this affects betting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so the notification I got was from the Score.
That's where I got it, too.
Mine only says, but Bombers rule out former Grey Cup MVP versus Ticats due to calf injury. What are they saying about Darvin Adams?
And I opened up, it's a shoulder for Darvin Adams. I opened up the story, and they had more, which included the Adams news. So they've both been ruled out for week 1.
Well, okay, and so that's what we love about daytime sports talk. I got to be honest with you. Yes, I used to watch SportsCenter 12 times in a row in the morning, but why would you now when you got this?
Yeah.
Right? In breaking news. Again, Andrew Harris and Darvin Adams ruled out for the week 1 game for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And Bomber fans watching, Trevor Bazzillo in Winnipeg says how the Bombers aren't number 1 after being the champs is disrespectful. At least for the first week. He's talking about the power rankings. And can I advise you people a little bit? Take a chill pill, chillax, go for a walk. You're in Winnipeg. Go down to 7-Eleven and get a Slurpee, man. Like, don't get worked up over the power rankings. Who cares? In August. Is it just me?
Well, power rankings, you have to remember, are not standings. Power rankings are a way of saying who's the best right now. And if we played number 1 against number 2, number 1 would win. If we played 4 against 5, 4 would likely win. You know, if we looked at going into that Grey Cup, Hamilton was favored, were they not, against Winnipeg? Right? They came in as the best team in the Canadian Football League last year. So they would be higher in the power rankings, of course. It doesn't mean that, you know, Winnipeg didn't have this really great finish to the year and win.
Yeah.
But power rankings, we get hung up on that too much.
I don't at all. But Calgary Stampeders ranked 6th. How do you think that's going over in Calgary? I don't see them whining about it at all. James in Borden, Manitoba says, too bad the Bombers are riddled with injuries. 2 years away from the game is a lot for players, and their bodies are feeling it. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Now from Kelly Bale on Cleveland. Well, and by the way, everybody's in the same boat. That's what we heard about hockey last year. It's not like one team was playing and all others weren't. They're all in the same boat in the Canadian Football League. And boy, oh boy, we're in one. Darren just mentioned in the last segment that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are going to be missing Andrew Harris and Darvin Adams for their game, their season opening game Thursday against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Now, and I thank Darren Cameron, the Bomber PR guy. He sent me their roster, so I clicked on it, and those guys are on the 1-game injured list. Now, Alan, the intern, is in the room, and he said the Hamilton Tiger Cats are like, oh, yeah, we'll see your Harris and Adams, and we'll raise you. Who? DeVere Posey, Chris Van Zyl, Ted Laurent, and Brooks.
You say, wait, Laurent
is that Simone Lawrence or Ted Laurent? Yeah, Laurent. Okay. There's a difference between those two. It's only one letter. I remember.
Lawrence. No.
Yeah, no laughing matter. No. So here we are. On the eve of the Canadian Football League's Week 1 game, some of the biggest stars will not be playing. Now, I'm sitting there wondering, at least they disclosed that it's a calf injury with Andrew Harris, as they say. I don't know what's going on with these Hamilton players. But here we go. Did we see this in the National Football League last year? I don't recall this. The big stars not playing early on.
No, we did see the odd, COVID protocol, guys getting pulled and whatnot, but we didn't see this. But they didn't miss any time.
No.
They haven't missed anything in the NFL, right? They didn't miss a season.
And we're getting paid.
Right.
Darren Workman watching in Salt Lake City, Utah, says, going to need a program in the CFL this year. Yeah, if they printed programs. Are we going to get serious for a second here for Cora Grain in the second half kickoff? And don't worry, Four Seasons Sports Palace, we got them bringing you overtime a little later on. But the CFL season kicks off tomorrow. That is Thursday night in Winnipeg. And now we learned this morning, and This by virtue of the Blue Bombers announcing their roster this morning that Andrew Harris, their star tailback, has gone on the one-game injured list with a calf injury. One of their best receivers, Darvin Adams, won't play. And what did you say you knew what the injury was? Shoulder. And then the Hamilton Tiger Cats are coming in without Ted Laurent, stud D tackle, Devere Posey, friend of the show, wide receiver. Who else did you say, Alan? Devere Posey, Ted Laurent,
Chris Van Zyl,
Canadian offensive lineman.
Yeah.
And there was a fourth, Brooks, Carriel Brooks, DB. And it's just,
oh yeah,
here we go. And this on the heels of what came down yesterday, the CFL announcing their COVID cancellation policy. And this is very important, I think, for people to know. According to the policy, if a game is canceled due to COVID-19 issues and cannot be rescheduled, the club suffering from the COVID-19 issues will forfeit a 1-0 loss. If both squads have COVID-19 issues, each will forfeit the game and be assigned losses. In either scenario, if a team can prove at least 85% of its players under contract have been vaccinated at least once, the players will receive their salary for the canceled game. If that figure falls below 85%, players won't be paid. It was not clear if coaches would still be paid if a team's vaccination rate fell below 85%, as they are not part of the league's collective bargaining agreement it has with the players. So, holy smokes, stuff just got real.
Yeah.
In the Canadian Football League.
And that's why the 85% matters, right? And there's 3 teams, which we talked about, the Riders being one of them, reportedly not at 85% fully vaccinated. So it becomes an issue, right? Guys want to get paid, right? But also guys have their own values about whether they want the vaccine or don't want the vaccine. It's a real tough spot. But the league has put out a stance, and I respect them for taking a stance on it.
Oh, I respect the heck out of him. But this is wild the day before the CFL season opener for a lot of reasons, okay? Stick with me. Because our guy Nelson Hakowicz writes in, our VP of Sim Events, and says, according to CFL.ca, Devere Posey is the only player officially ruled out for the Hamilton Tiger Cats for the game. Where did you get your info, Alan? From who? This kid's a journalism major. We're trying to teach him accuracy counts. You get that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it used to. I'm not sure if it still does or not. Eric Thomas is a Ticats fan. He's watching on YouTube right now, and he just writes in Braylon Addison. I'm like, what about him?
He was the other one on that list of injuries.
Okay, well, there's another very important piece for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. And by the way, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, I'm just going to say it. They're mad at me because of what I said about Simone Lawrence and that I got Brandon Banks off his game, not even trying, 2 days before the Grey Cup. So they won't send me their information in their news releases. They're not sending me their roster. And I said to the guys before the show, I'm not helping the CFL out. Okay? If you're going to send us your info and you want it correct, send it here. And we'll distribute it to the nation on Game Plus TV and through streaming. But I'm not going to sit here and put up with this crap if they're going to act like that and not send us their info. Now, what did I say near the end of hour 1? Darren Cameron, the PR guy for the Blue Bombers, when I left my rider job, he texted me within a day. What's your new email address? I want to get you our stuff. That's the first-class nature of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Darren Cameron. And by the way, who's the reigning Grey Cup champions? Oh, yeah, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Whoa.
What? You found it?
I want to get this to Clark, and maybe we can put it up on the screen. But I'm looking at the CFL here, and Stamps Argo's Week 1 injury report. And here's the Stampeders. Richard Leonard, Chris Odom. It goes down, Richie Sindani. There's a few of them. And I'll show it to you because I can put this on the screen.
Yeah.
And it tells you what DB. Ankle injury, tricep, illness. And Tuesday, did not participate. Wednesday is open. So they're starting to follow the NFL model. So I wonder if all teams are mandated by this yet or not. But this is we're starting to see the needle move in terms of reporting of injuries. And this is on the Score app.
Darren's saying it's, or Clark is saying it's not mandated, but teams are doing it voluntarily. I'm not sure I believe that. I believe that it's mandated for all 9 teams, and some teams are probably fighting it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
How about that?
Jennifer from the Four Seasons Sports Palace writes in, she says, spicy. But that's
Spicy.
my point. I want to sit here. The easiest thing in the world for me would be to sit in this chair and talk about the CFL 2 hours a day, every day. It would be the easiest thing for me. But if we're not going to get cooperation from the teams, I'm not interested. Because we talked about the NFL last hour with Jim Lang, and this is a league that you talk to Dunk at 3 down. They're like, oh, how many photos did he need of Chase Claypool? Every week they're sending him 3 new ones from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, come on, let's get with it here. Yeah. From Nelson, our VP of Sim Events, says all teams are mandated. There are lists for every game on CFL.ca. That's the thing, because I worked in the league for 20 years. This would come down from the head office. You guys need to do this. Some will still fight it.
Yeah, nobody would do this voluntarily.
No. So nobody's doing it. No, not one team would do it voluntarily.
No.
Jeff, the Stamps fan, says the Stampeders have always been honest with injuries. And I don't doubt that for a second. Can't give you any example of where they were lying about it. I mean,
but they would just not give you info. I mean, you'd put the day before the game when the official roster and the injury report comes out, right? Here's your injury report on the 1 game list, the 6 game list. Nobody's ever hidden from that. But now we're going to get detailed reports every single day starting on Tuesday, who played, who didn't, and if they didn't, what's the reason? Non-related? Illness? Tricep? Shoulder? Calf? What's the reason you didn't play Tuesday? Did you have limited participation Wednesday? And that's how the betting community kind of assesses the odds and what's going to happen. And we're going to start seeing that move a little bit more.
John Hodge from 3downnation.com, friend of this show, tweeting, after confirmation this morning that Braylon Addison, Chris Van Zyl, Ted Laurent, and Adeliki are out. Is that Tundi Adeliki?
I believe so.
Because there's 2 of them, right? He says, I'd put some money on the Blue Bombers here. So if we're talking about betting in the Canadian Football League, this is the kind of stuff that we would like to be talking about on day in, day out.
Yeah.
It's what they're talking about in the National Football League. It's 11-11, by the way, if you were paying attention. Make a wish.
I don't have coffee.
My wish is that there's enough players to play in the Canadian Football League and get through a season. Yeah. Live television. Here we go. And we're in one. From Nelson, our content creator. It's very confusing that we have 2 Nelsons.
I know.
What's a half Nelson?
We had 2 Nelsons. At one point, we had 2 Tylers. We've had...
Yeah.
They come in pairs.
He says, as a very frequent sports bettor, this CFL injury reporting is an absolute nightmare for betting. But it's getting better.
Yeah, now it looks like it's going to mirror the NFL, which is perfect. You can go on now, as long as it's clearly, outlined where you're going to be able to find those injury reports and when they're going to be updated on a daily basis. But you don't have as much information early in the week. That's why it's a bit more risky, but you might get better odds. And
by the way, I want to say this. We have a lot of fun with Jeff, the Stamps fan, but I really have nothing against the Calgary Stampeders. They've been very good to me, particularly since I left the Rough Riders. But on that injury thing, I don't know whether they're lying or not. I think they were I'm going to assume they aren't. They were very forthcoming with the Bo Levi Mitchell stuff last year. Look at their injuries in training camp this year. Other than Charlie Power snapping his Achilles, there were no real major injuries at Calgary Stampeders camp, compared to other teams. Since John Huffnagel showed up in 2008, what you will hear in CFL circles is that the Calgary Stampeders have never fired a coach. And that's somewhat semantics, because there's been a coach or 2, I think, that they didn't renew their contract. But it's that Huff does things by the book, which I respect the hell out of that. And Huff, I love the guy. I do. When I was the Rider guy and he was the Stamps boss, we didn't really love each other. But we did have some pretty good discussions back and forth because he knew what I was all about and I knew what he was all about. We were still on opposing sides. But how can you argue with what they've done there? And by the way, again, you don't hear any whining coming out of Calgary regarding the fact that Calgary Stampeders are 6th in the power rankings because they know that doesn't matter. They know that. They know. Somebody said to me, and I can't remember whom, I want to say, I won't out him, but he's like, just the way personalities are. He's like, Chris Jones, if you made him follow the rules, he couldn't do it. It's just not in his DNA. But with John Huffnagel, if you said, you have to run this team by breaking the rules, Huff, he couldn't do it. Like when they came out with that staff limitation and salary cap for coaches, the Stamps were already under it. And they were still the marquee team in the Canadian Football League. My mind's going off that this will make a great Twitter clip. Rod extols the virtues of the Calgary Stampeders. I'm just saying they do it by the book. And their stadium should be sold out based on everything that they've done there. And for whatever reason, it's not. But to go back to these injuries now, I guess they had to put Andrew Harris on the one-game injured list and Darvin Adams. They had to. That's how it came out. But how many reporters, I don't know, are at Bomber practice daily? I don't know. But I just feel like we're Doc and Michael J. Fox in the DeLorean right now. Where we're going, there are no roads. In terms of betting.
Yeah. It's uncharted.
It's a whole new territory for the Canadian Football League.
Yeah. It really is. And it's kind of monumental, to see where it's going to go. Reporting these injuries is step one, right? More information, more talk of numbers of stats, breaking down games, position battles, all of that. Any information that might let somebody have a window into who might have an edge here or there, what the weather might do, all these things that bettors look at, to try and find an edge, because we all think we can predict who's going to win. We really can't. That's why we love sports so much.
Yeah.
But you need more and more and more and more info. And this is a start for the CFL. Long way to go, but they're on the right track. So, yeah, we'll see where this ends up, but it's fun to watch.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.